Hi guys, I hope you guys are having an absolutely wonderful week. So as promised, I am going to talk to you guys a little bit today about self-sabotage. Yay, fun, right? So, oh Dana, one more thing that we have to look at. Yes, one more thing. And that's okay because remember, this is about our growth and this is about wanting to cultivate more relationships, healthier relationships, not just outside but within ourselves, right? So it all starts with us. And how can we create a healthy relationship within ourselves? So first we'll talk about what it looks like, then we'll go into where did it start, oh my, and then 5 tips on how to get rid of self-sabotage and how to kind of deal with it. So the first thing we'll talk about is, so what does self-sabotage look like? So self-sabotage is procrastinating. It is getting close to your goal and quitting. It is staying or getting into toxic relationships knowing that you do not belong there. It is setting unrealistic goals, and it's not trying at all, or it's carrying a negative story about yourself. Now, all of those that I mentioned just now, all of those that I mentioned pretty much stem from one thing. Usually it's childhood conditioned mindsets that started anywhere between the ages of 6 to 11. And they all deal with self-worth and self-love. So carrying a negative story about yourself, when did that start? That started somewhere very young where somebody told you that you didn't deserve something or that you had to work extra hard to get it. Now, mind you, I'm not against somebody working hard to get. However, also understand that that has been used as a tool of punishment, especially in our generation, right? It could have been used in a not so great fashion. So now as we get older, we have this really hard time with worth. Am I worthy of this? Do I love myself enough? Can I love myself? Am I worthy to love myself? Like all of that is coming in and coming out, and it's like, wow, where did that start? Well, that started somewhere in our childhood. Now, am I going to sit here and bash our parents? Absolutely not. Our parents did the best that they could with the information that they had, right? And so our job now is to do better, right? So if you know better, do better. So my mother loved me very much. However, there were things that she did not know how to communicate properly. Right? She didn't know how to, if I was sad or if I was upset about something, my boyfriend broke up with me or I found whatever, then all of a sudden I was like, well, go to your room and go figure it out. We didn't sit down and talk about it. Do you know what I mean? But if one of my kids came home crying because, something happened with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, then we would sit down and have this, whole conversation and, try to figure it out. And what does this mean about you? And yeah, I mean, that's, the life of being the child of a coach, but still in all, there's that communication that's open with my children. And so, like I said, when you know better, you do better. But it's not just about having my children and being able to communicate effectively with them. It's everybody else. It's being able to create a space where my friends can come to me or my clients can come to me, and there's that trust. And there's that understanding, is that empathy and that compassion, but I'm able to do that and I'm able to carry that and create a space for that because a lot of us don't understand that there is that worth that we have. And so it's important for us to learn that and create that even now, and it's never too late. So there's that. I'm going to try to keep the video not so long today. Let's talk about some tips on self-sabotage, right? So one of the things that we can do to try to control it, manage it, get rid of it, is to own it, right? So learn to identify and recognize your patterns. Once you identify the behavior and the patterns, then you can reclaim your power. And this is really what this is about. It's about empowering ourselves. It's about creating a space of just a different mindset, right? It's completely changing your mindset. It's breaking old patterns. It's breaking old agreements. It is reconditioning your brain. And so once you're able to identify it and own it, then you can start saying, okay, well, this is where I need to start making some changes, and start making changes. I mean, but it has to be a choice, right? It has to be a choice, and it has to be consistent choice. Otherwise, you're literally going to continue to run that pattern the entire time. So your second one is going to be practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself as if you were talking to a younger version of yourself or a young child. While it's okay to be honest and speak up for your thoughts, it always has to be done from a place of love. And I believe this wholeheartedly. So many times we beat ourselves up for whatever. But especially if we tried something and we didn't succeed the way we wanted to, we put an expectation out on ourselves. If we speak to ourselves, like we were talking to a younger child or a younger version, how would you do that? Would you approach yourself really differently? I'm pretty sure you would. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't talk to your 6-year-old self and say, you know what, damn, you messed this up. Oh my God, how stupid could you be? What is wrong with you? You wouldn't do that. You would probably say, okay, well, so what happened? Like, what was your goal? All right, what did you actually accomplish? What do you need to change next time? So you would probably approach that child really differently than you're approaching yourself. And that's where we need to start making these mindset changes. We need to start creating a space for ourselves where we're being a lot more compassionate. Sometimes it's easier for us to be compassionate with other people and so hard on ourselves. Well, now it's the time to start changing that. And I'm not saying gonna reverse it so you're hard on somebody else, but internalize that compassion too. So keep yourself just be mindful of how the language that you use when you're talking to yourself, you know? Oh, I wanted to lose 20 pounds, but damn, I only lost 10 and I'm such a loser. No, absolutely not. Celebrate the fact that you lost that 10. There's a lot of people struggling to lose 10 and they couldn't do it. So celebrate that fact, celebrate the fact that you worked really hard to get those 10 off. And so, okay, well, let's see what else can you do for that, that additional 10. So what those words that you're using on yourself every day, even something as simple as, you're so stupid, I'm such a loser. Erase those words out of your vocabulary 110%. I don't even allow my children to talk like that about themselves. I tell them, like, I'll fight you. You're talking about my kid. I'll fight. I'm like, I'm talking about myself. Yeah, my kid. So you can't talk about yourself like that because that's not allowed in this house. And my friends will tell you the same thing. I do not allow them to beat themselves up when they talk about themselves around me. Absolutely not. It just does not happen. And it's because of that, because once you create that space where you're allowing yourself to, pick here and there, it becomes really easy to stay in that mindset. And it becomes really easy to go down that rabbit hole, especially, and if you do that with a little thing, then when you get to those bigger issues, oh, forget it, you're done. You're done. You're already in that rabbit hole so fast, so far, that you cannot, it'll be hard to start getting out of it. Depression, anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, frustration, all of that sets in. So you kind of see where all of those kind of like connecting the dots, they fit together. And speaking of connecting the dots and fitting together, identify your needs and connect to what you need most in your life. The first step to ending self-sabotage begins with you. So let's talk about that real quick. Last November, I had the privilege of going to a nonviolent communication group in North Carolina. Since then, I have watched several lessons on it, and I absolutely love the whole premise behind it. I love the fact of identifying your needs and the emotions and how all of that fits together with so much in your life, because when we identify our needs and our needs are not met, then you have your emotions that are coming into play, root versus symptom, and we'll get into that in another video. I'm not going to take too much of that time out, but we can really begin to, we really want to begin to connect the dots with why it is that we are self-sabotaging if we have not met our needs. So if we have not met our needs and we cannot identify our needs because we don't know what those needs are, then basically you're always going to set yourself up for a trap because you just don't know what you need. You don't know what you want. You can go out there and say, well, yeah, I want this and I want that, but there's a core need behind it. And so what is that core need behind that? That core need is what's going to help you to eliminate that self-sabotage behavior and pattern, because then you're really going to mind focus into what it is that you really need for yourself for fulfillment, right? And so if you don't do that, then you just, again, like I said, you create that pattern of having to hamster on the wheel. You're kind of frustrated. You're having all of these anger issues. You're getting upset with everybody. You're getting upset with yourself. You haven't met these expectations. And so it's really hard for you to be able to identify what your end goal is because you don't know what your primary need is. So in order to obtain that end goal, you need to have that need identified initially. The fourth one is to let go of the I should mentality. So a big part of self-sabotage comes from trying to live up to others people's expectations and or creating a space for yourself that if something does not go well or does not go the way you wanted it to, you beat yourself up. And how many times do we do that? Like I said, this was just something else that if we do not live up to what the expectations that our boss has, our spouse has, our children have, our friends have, the Jones, down the block that we're supposed to be driving a specific car, doing whatever, then we start beating ourselves up. And again, that's the rabbit hole that we were talking about earlier. So just be really mindful of that. And so the last one is going to be upgrade your habits. Begin or end each day with 2 to 5 minutes of journaling. Drink more water. Practice mindful breathing at least 2 to 3 times a day. And I know that sounds like a lot. However, practicing, mindful breathing, you can do that from your desk going to the bathroom. I mean, you literally can. It can take 28 seconds of your life. If you can't give yourself 28 seconds out of the day, there's something happening. You need to reevaluate what your day is going. You need to reevaluate your priorities. Because if you get up to go to the restroom and you say, okay, well, what am I feeling right now? And you identify in your body that, you know what, I'm having this feeling. It's in my stomach, it's in my chest, I'm upset, I'm not upset, whatever the situation is. I'm gonna breathe in for 7 seconds. I'm going to hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then I'll release it. And I repeat that 2 to 3 times, right? So by the time you reach the restroom, your body's already relaxing. Because when you start that breathing and you start to recognize where you're holding that emotion and that energy in, and you're starting to let that out and to let it go, that's huge, because now your body is naturally starting to relax and release that energy that is not serving you. It's really not good for you. Go to your restroom, do what you have to do. Hopefully you wash your hands, please and thank you. And on your way back, you can repeat that. So now you could even say, okay, well, I want to bring in good energy. I want to bring in good love. And so on your way back from the restroom, you breathe in 7 seconds, and you're breathing in love, you're breathing in light, you're breathing in healing, and hold, and then you release. And as you're releasing, again, you're letting out the negativity, and you do that 2 to 3 times. By the time you get to your desk, I feel pretty good. I feel all right. Everything is okay. The world isn't perfect, but you know what? I am going to be okay. We are going to be okay. And so, yeah, that's just a little bit of how you can get through your day, and then of course getting through the self-sabotage. I would love to talk to you guys a little bit more about this. If you want to schedule a sample session, I'm happy to talk to you. DM me for your private session. I'd like to hear your comments in the chat box. So leave your comments and your thoughts, and we can talk some more. So have a absolutely wonderful day. Blessed be, guys.